Welcome everyone back to the Wolf Den. We're live again from Durham, North Carolina on the third day of the World Open Library Foundation Conference. My name is Peter Murray and I've been the host in the Wolf Den this week. Today I have Anya Arnold with me today. Hello. Would you introduce yourself and how you're related to the Folio project?
Yeah, so my name is Anya Arnold and I work for EBSCO and I'm a lead consultant for implementation. But we've only been doing that since November. So before that, and we just got a beta, so I'm just now starting really in my job. I've been working as a PO for Folio.
Product owner.
Product owner for course reserves. And working through the documentation on that, which I'm excited to give a little show tomorrow at our plenary.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, I got into library science almost 20 years ago with a social justice degree and worked for the Office of Research at OCLC and just have really come to think about open source and social justice, and Folio just makes sense. So
and library spaces.
And library spaces.
Yeah. And that was the first day when we had the meetup of people that were just coming for the day, interested in Folio. So we were doing the introduction to what Folio is and the architecture, and then you got up and gave this presentation about Folio services, and it had a little bit of, you know, EBSCO Folio services, what services EBSCO was going to offer with Folio. But I remember watching what you were saying, and you put up on the screen these things that EBSCO was going to help with, and one of the things was change management. Now I'm a technologist, so change management to me says I just submitted a help desk ticket to increase my disk space by 200 gigabytes or something like that. But then you took change management in this other direction of helping libraries bring along their staff in this process of Folio, or in any process. And so I was, you know, intrigued about, you know, Folio as a change agent, and you know, what you see about that.
Yeah, so change management to me is the people side of a technology change. It's how we, you know, nobody likes to change. No. Right? And it's easier to change when you're that frog in the cold pot. Right, than it is to be the frog being thrown into
jumping
the hot
into the boiling water.
Right. So nobody likes to have change imposed on them. They want to be a part of it. That way they can cheerlead for it, and they can be behind the technology.
Not accepting, but cheerleading.
Cheerleading. It goes beyond even accepting, because once you've accepted something, you believe it's right, right? You go for it. So when you're talking about change management, to me, it's really about having the conversations cross both the top level of the library, and so the executive decision makers or whatnot, and as well as the practitioners, the staff, the student workers, the people that do the work, and having those guys talk to each other about what Folio could do for the library as a whole. What is the why? What are we all there for, and how can we keep moving towards that, and let Folio really be a tool that then we can use to connect different pieces and parts to, but have that be a change agent within the library.
For me, this suddenly, you know, this speaks to the design first philosophy that we have, where at the very start of the process, we've brought in the subject matter experts with the user experience designers and the product owners. But you mentioned student workers, who we have none of in any of our SIGs. How exciting!
You can't pay them to sit
well,
on a SIG.
pay them to, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So.
They'd have to tolerate our conference calls. But that is there something about Folio that it inspires this that leads us to or leads you to think that we're heading on the right path?
I think so. If I'm interpreting your question correctly,
yeah, that was a little
right?
fuzzy, but go for it.
So, but I think like reaching all levels of people at your library that work there, and having them enjoy their job will have them turn around and provide wonderful service to the patrons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so why did we all become librarians, you know? And it gets back, like, what is the core of our business? And the core of our business is to serve our patrons and to get them access to information. We work really hard to get the items for them, regardless of, you know, paper or electronic. We work very hard to ensure that it's available. Mm-hmm. But we also then provide roadblocks and blockers of, you know, how they actually get it. So, and we get frustrated. We have the same, you know, we have a bad interaction with our, you know, checkout module, right? Mm-hmm. And then we get frustrated and we take that frustration out on our patron in front of us. So why don't we, you know, flip that and have people really excited about the system that we're working in, and then also, you know, have that excitement just spill over into everything else that we do, instruction, etc.
That sounds like a tall order.
Right, it is a tall order. It's aspirational, but, you know,
why
so
not?
is folio.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. That's true.
At the very beginning, this thing was, you know, monumental. Like, it was a huge idea. How are we ever going to break it down into like smaller increments that we could do? And here we are. We're very close to having, you know, live systems.
I think I've found a new favorite thing. I've been keeping well, it's not a short list any longer, but new ideas and new concepts that being a part of the Folio project inspires. Right. And this empowerment idea is one that I'm finding really powerful.
Right. We've all worked for a library at some point where your light was turned off. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, you were told that's the way we always do it here, just do it that way, stop asking questions about it. Like, I think Folio allows the opportunity to have all of those lights turned back on. You know, like, it allows for people to think, how can we use our system in a way that will benefit everyone?
That does seem to be embedded in the process of design, the decomposition of the tasks into discrete modules, and what we heard in the first plenary session about how we're going to compose these together in new workflows and still allow exceptions to that workflow and still allow that kind of, enable that kind of empowerment as a core feature of the system.
Yes, and I think the way system designs outside of the library world they're going towards more open type structures as well. Salesforce is pretty big in one of those things, but also the open education movement and like how can we team up with them, and how can we bring in education modules into this? So it's all about how can we get people to think about how to use technology as the tool it was intended to be, right? I mean, a pencil is a tool in its most, generic form, but it's not a solution. It's a tool in which you do things with. So having people think about how it can be used instead of being, oh, it can only be this.
And having that thought about so early in the design process, it just drives that throughout the entire process.
Exactly. I mean, we heard about the vendor panel about Archivum and how it could be a service point too, and so we're pulling in all these different disparate aspects of the library, which we never thought could happen before. So we don't have to have completely separate systems. We can have connectors. We can have built into things.
Well, unfortunately, the whole day hasn't been about blue sky reaching for the stars. Much of the day has been about working meetings and getting there. What meetings did you attend today, and what did you get out of them?
So today I attended the early implementers group.
Okay.
So I have been paired with 5 colleges. I am their implementer, so they are one of our betas, and we've been talking about what do we do, you know, like as a full, you know, with OLA and early implementers and EBSCO early implementers, we've talked about how there's really nothing that we can't work on together, you know, and so we're working on this together. Another group that I went to was patron notices, and you know, really talking about how do we design templates within the system and how do we make them user friendly for creation as well as acceptance, and those types of things. Another meeting yesterday I went to that sticks in my mind was about item statuses and how we use the same words to describe different statuses that mean completely different things depending on if you're in acquisitions versus cataloging versus check-in and check-out. So, you know, it was like a 2.5-hour conversation where we're iterating back and forth, and sometimes it's circular, sometimes it was linear, sometimes we were like blowing it up, and you know, we're really working on getting item statuses to make sense.
I'm chuckling because sitting where you were sitting yesterday was Mark Johnson and Tanya Fershine, who were talking about exactly the same thing, and I was like, item statuses. What do you mean? This was a 2-hour conversation, but that so much of what we've done in libraries has been embedded in these workarounds that we've stuck on this single field as item statuses, teasing it apart.
Right, and are we starting at the right point? Like, do we need to step back and say, do we need to think about it as a part of a workflow and not just a status? You know, like what does that mean? So yes, like these business meetings are really important, and I think they do energize us at this moment and saying yes, we're seeing it being created too. So that's really good.
So another part of the day has been the times between meetings, the lunchtime conversations, the conversations in the hall. And again, like I did yesterday, I'm not going to ask you to name names.
Right.
But you know, was there a conversation that you had that shocked you or inspired you or that has stuck with you this week?
You know, I was thinking about this question, and you know, it's the energy that I feel. You know, everyone I've talked to has just been so excited, and also have expressed the need of this meeting to be around. Like, they're feeling kind of dragged down, and like so many meetings and
so many Zoom calls,
and they're so early for me.
Yes, on the West Coast.
On the West Coast. You know, so sometimes I'm very quiet because I'm still drinking coffee. But this meeting allowed people to pair faces with voices, to, you know, actually meet people and to just, you know, take a deep breath and then come back, and then they're just so energized. And I'm in the working meetings I've been, it's the more energy that I've seen in a long, you know, little while. So it's really been the energy that I think, and just the, hey, we're all doing this together.
In the lifetime of the project, this has been an important point to get together.
Yeah, I mean, we have almost 200 people here. I mean, there's not enough time really to talk to all of them. And, you know, just to be able to introduce yourself. You know, I think I've introduced myself to almost everyone. Like, this is who I am, and this is what I'm doing. But I think it's important that we keep coming back to, these are real people behind the mics.
I don't know, it's bringing up the anxiety for the next one, because if the one kind of previous to this was developers and a few subject matter experts, and I think we were 63, and now we're somewhere in the 190s, and boy, the next time we do this,
it's gonna be even bigger.
Who's going to catch the folio fever and be participating in the community?
I think it's amazing. You know, to have this many people around something that had no marketing whatsoever except Twitter and like just word of mouth.
Announcing it at meetings, yeah.
You know, I mean, people believe in this project. You know, it's we're doing it together, and that's what we need to be doing. Absolutely.
Well, thank you. Want to remind everyone to join us tomorrow morning at 8:30 Eastern U.S. time for our final plenary session. You'll be back on the screen again doing a demo, and we'll have other demos of other parts of the Folio project. So we hope to see you then. I think that'll do it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Peter.